Hi, it's Josh Rubin with the Rubin team. Let's go take a look.
Hey everybody, it's Josh Rubin with Douglas Elliman here in New York City. Today is Wednesday, May 29th. I'm joined by none other than Lea Willams of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho at Sotheby's. What's going on out there in Coeur d'Alene today, Lea?
It's a beautiful sunny day today. We are happy for the beginning of summer. This is our time to shine.
Now, do you guys have any shoulder seasons anymore? Because I'm finding here in New York, it goes from winter to summer and summer to winter.
Well, weather-wise, we actually do, which is great. We love the four seasons, but in real estate, it does seem to pick up in the spring. It runs at full speed in the summer. September, October are pretty darn busy, and then it kind of slows down in November, December. January, it picks up again, and I'm usually pretty darn busy in January. So yeah, it's good.
That's interesting. Around the holidays, it kind of slows down for you.
Yeah, except, this last December, I don't know what happened. People the phone started ringing. I think they announced that maybe there'd be an interest rate tick down and got a little busy. This year has been much busier year to year than it has been last year. So that's a good thing in the real estate market.
Lea, we were just talking about that in our weekly meeting this morning about how year over year, we're definitely seeing an uptick in activity. And I think because last year was such a shock for people to have rates double and triple in a lot of markets. So a lot of people took more of a wait and see attitude. This year, we saw more of an acclimation and acceptance of, the rates are here to stay. So if we're moving, we might as well move. You can always refinance, when and if they do come down.
Completely. Yeah, totally.
We've seen sort of that adjustment and activity has picked up commensurately. What I found, though, is that a lot of people think that the market is going to be slow in December, but for some reason, I experience people who have sort of a stronger nesting instinct, and Decembers, for whatever reason, are usually very busy for me.
Yeah. And I find that here, we sell a lot of vacation properties, mountains, lakes, and trees, a lot of lakefronts, beautiful lakes here. I mean, we have beautiful. And I think people get together over the holidays and they're like, this is the year we're going to be buying our lake house, and I find that that's why, around New Year's and the first part of January, I think my phone starts really ringing.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Well, I've been talking to my wife, Kathy, about us getting a lake house. And, I'm looking around sort of in parts of New Jersey, Connecticut, up into New York State for the right house. So who knows? We too might get that lake house sooner or later.
Start creating some memories.
So I'm curious, how did you actually end up getting your start in real estate? Because everybody has sort of a unique story about what made them make that segue.
Yeah, I was, working at IBM in sales and marketing when I got out of college. I have a marketing and finance degree from USC in Southern Cal. And, we had 2 kids and they were young, and I decided to take 10 years off from 15 years at IBM and raise the kids. And about the time I got to middle school, I think, mom was no longer cool. And I decided to go back to work, and I tried to look around at something to do. And, real estate kind of fit because I was always an investor. I had owned duplexes with my mom. She was actually a real estate agent for the past 30 years. She's retired. And it was so different back then. People used to stamp their postcards on the kitchen table and, look in MLS books. And, now it's so digital and tech savvy that, I thought, and I have a marketing degree. So I thought, well, maybe I'll do that. And I got my license in 2007, and, the crash happened in 2008. And I worked my butt off in short sales, high-end luxury foreclosures, and really just, it was a lot of hard work. And I think it kind of set me up for when the market picked up. I had that good base of work ethic and what it took to be successful. So that's how I got started. And it's better now. I don't like doing those things in short sales at all.
Right. Yeah. Well, I can imagine. I mean, I've done my share of those as well in that sort of 2008, 2009 stretch.
Yeah.
I don't look forward to doing them again, but they say the necessity is the mother of invention, and you have to do what you have to do.
Totally.
And so 2008 was sort of your introduction to real estate from IBM.
Yeah, 07, 08. And then, in Idaho, in some of the towns, it took a lot longer to come back in the luxury space. I was doing high-end kind of vacation homes. And gosh, $3 million homes were selling for $1 million, going to the bank. And it was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Didn't sell a lot that year. I mean, 09 probably did more short sales and bank owns, and 10 and then 11. And then it really, started to pick up, I think, after that, and kind of got out of that and just started to do a little bit more regular homes, which seemed easier, to sell normally, not a bank own, not a short sale,
Sure.
and not a distressed property. Even at the luxury space, there were just definite distressed properties.
Yeah, I can imagine. And so you were at IBM for 15 years. Were you working out of Coeur d'Alene, or did you wind up?
My husband is from Kansas City, and we met on a program called Semester at Sea in college, and he was from Kansas City. I was actually from Southern California, and I was like, where's Kansas City?
Yeah.
Anyway, I graduated and got a job at IBM in Kansas City. So we got married there, lived there for about 15 years. Our kids were born there. His parents lived there. It was really nice, but that's where I worked for IBM, that and around the Midwest. And then decided to take a leave of absence, and after 15 years, and took 10 years off and raised the children. It was great. We had at that time moved to Rye, New Hampshire. He took a high-tech job. He used to work at IBM too, in the Boston area. And then we always had a ski condo in Idaho, and we just decided we wanted mountains, lakes, trees, recreation, 4 seasons, all that, and kind of looked all over the country of where we wanted to be. And we loved Idaho, but we didn't want to be where our condo was, which was in Sun Valley, and we discovered Coeur d'Alene, and it checked all the boxes. And so we just kind of bought a house almost sight unseen. We had it built from a builder, and said, we like that lot, save those 2 trees, go ahead and build it. It's more like a production home we were going to use as a rental, because I liked doing rentals. And there we go.
Yeah. Well, and so what year was that you decided to transition from New Hampshire out to Coeur d'Alene?
Well, I believe it was 2000 when John, my husband, who's also my business partner, he covers Washington and Idaho. I think it was 2000. He took a job in San Francisco, and we were living in Half Moon Bay, California. I was still, kind of on my leave of absence, and we were sending our kids to private school for elementary school, and it was very expensive. And we were thinking, God, this is kind of silly. Why don't we live someplace where the public schools are good, and we can save that money for college?
Sure. Yeah.
Anyway, that was our thought process. John loves to ski and snowboard, water ski. Grew up skiing. We're very active tennis and pickleball players, love the outside, love to boat, and discovered Coeur d'Alene, and it just checks all the boxes. So there we are.
Wow. So, I mean, that's a big jump, though, to go from, the sort of Boston area, Kansas City, then Boston, then Coeur d'Alene, because now you're in the middle of it all, but also at the same time, sort of in the middle of, dare I say, nowhere.
Well, Coeur d'Alene has been quite discovered lately.
Oh, in the last couple of years, for sure, a lot of people.
Yes, in 2021, I think that was the peak of our market, everybody's. And it was, kind of on the news. The Wall Street Journal had done a few articles, Mansion Global filmed a few things. I had one of my $17 million homes featured on the show, and it sold. There was just a lot of discovery. A lot of people had found it before, but if it wasn't known before then, COVID, it's certainly known now, and I think just about a couple weeks ago too, it was featured again in the Wall Street Journal. So it's been getting a lot of press. Boise is about 8 hours south of us. We're North Idaho. It's a little drier, flatter climate. They don't have a big, lakes like we do. But that was the fastest growing city in Idaho at the time back then, and got a lot of press too. So we were number 2 in terms of Idaho. But in terms of the country, I think we were like the fastest growing state in terms of sales. A lot of people have very nice second homes here. We have a lot of primary people as well. It's a great community just to live, work, and play. So I think that was the great appeal. People came and, discovered, took a trip, said they traveled all over looking for the right spot to land or retire. And, Coeur d'Alene checked all the boxes for them. Still a small town vibe. Close to Spokane, about a 20-minute drive to the border of Washington, Spokane, about, 35, 40 minutes to the airport. So it's really got everything going for it. If you like, Four Seasons and you love a small community, I'd say we're about 180,000 in all of Kootenai County. And so it's a great county. And then just north of us is Sandpoint, and that's about an hour away. And there's world-class skiing at Schweitzer Mountain. And we're on the Icon Pass there. And that is kind of a worldwide pass for top-notch ski resorts. So it's got a lot going for it.
And where would you say the majority of the people that sort of showed up in Coeur d'Alene between 2020 and 2021 came from?
That's a good question. It was interesting. Prior to that, a lot of our market was people from Southern California, maybe Arizona, looking for a second home to get out of the heat. But now it really opened up when the pandemic came, and there was crime in the bigger cities like Seattle, Portland. We found that people were looking for a place to go. And we're kind of relatively within driving distance of some of those. And then everyone in the hot states, I call it, like Texas and, Arizona, New Mexico, some of those places discovered it as well for a summer haven, or at least 6 months, out of the year. And, bought second homes here. A lot of people moved here full time, retired, cashed out of the higher end markets, and decided to just retire here. So we've had a lot of that too. I think one of our fastest growing segments of demographics is in the over 50-year-old range. I know, interesting, huh? Yeah.
There aren't too many spring chickens showing up, huh?
Well, we do have quite a robust economy too. We are, there's a lot of light industrial industry. A lot of people are working from home, as well, or they commute somewhere. Spokane's got a lot of jobs as well. We're definitely kind of trying to focus more on some tech, aerospace. We have a company here, or kind of a center called the Innovation Collective. And it's not really a WeWork space, but it's like a collective think tank of entrepreneurs, and they're trying to develop entrepreneurs of the future and launch companies. And so that's very, very popular here as well. So
it's like an incubator, right?
It's like an incubator. Yeah. And it's got a nice building they renovated downtown. I think they rent out like 60 offices. They've launched several hundred companies in the area. Have all kinds of, coffee sessions. And I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, it's a great place to be.
Yeah. Well, it sounds pretty exciting, especially for those who like the outdoors, given all the recreation opportunities that it provides.
Oh,
Um,
totally. Yeah, all year round. There's an Ironman here. I think the half Ironman is every 2 years and the full is every third year. And it's in June coming up. And then lots of athletes here, a lot of just enthusiasts for boating and all kinds of things.
so you mentioned the listing that was featured in what was it, Mansion Global for $17 million that you
Hmm.
sold.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. The process, how you got it, how you marketed it, where the buyer came from.
So yes, longtime clients who had built this beautiful property, 10,000 square feet on a piece of land that I found them years before, and they wanted to design, this beautiful home and built it and had 153 feet of frontage and a beautiful bay close into town, checked a lot of boxes for a lot of people. There was craziness going on then. I'm sure, in your market, you saw that too. And at that time, people were paying crazy money for properties. But this one we valued at that price because it was pretty rare and pretty stunning build. They had just built it a couple years before. And I do believe that the buyer who bought it is so ecstatic, to be in Coeur d'Alene and to have a waterfront property here. Um, so that I think the Mansion Global people just saw the listing and it kind of represented mountain lake living for them. And so they came and shot a whole day kind of about Coeur d'Alene and that property. And then um, it doesn't air for like 6 months. So in the meantime, it had gone under contract and sold, but it was a really nice feature.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty special property.
Yeah.
But what time frame elapsed between the time that they built it, lived there, and then sold it?
I think it was a couple years. I think a lot of people in that 21 time frame said, hey, if we put a price tag on it, you can't build this today for this price. All the builders, everything's sold out. Pretty much that was in a gated community here, although you don't really need to live in a gated community here. It's really nice.
Mhm.
But everything's sold out, and builders were having 2-year timelines to build custom homes. They're still pretty far out, but maybe not 2 years. So for people looking for extraordinary, we have that. I actually just listed last week a property that's 24.7 million,
Mhm.
and it's pretty spectacular in a gated golf community called the Club at Black Rock. And there's nothing like it in this whole area. It's pretty outstanding. So we're and it's got a dock and it's got golf and it has 10,000 square feet. Well, actually 13,000 square feet if you include the guest house. So
Wow.
yeah, so there's stuff happening in
There's
Coeur
room for
d'Alene,
the whole
Idaho.
family there, huh?
Huh?
I said there's room for the whole family at 13,000 square feet.
Yeah, it's got a guest house with a bedroom that's a suite, and then it has 8 bunk beds for all the grandchildren and a
Wow.
playroom. Yeah,
Huh. Okay.
pretty special.
Yeah, very cool. And so if you were to take it back to when you started with IBM, would you do anything differently?
You mean in terms of career life?
Yeah. Career life. You mentioned that your mother's in the business, right?
Yeah,
She used
yeah,
to
yeah.
hand address, hand stamp the mailers.
I know, yeah. Well, I talk about this with other people a lot. One of the things I would have done would be to keep every property that we ever bought. We would buy and sell because we had a young growing family and, you're trying to get into a bigger house, move for jobs or whatever. Wouldn't it have been great if I had kept all those, if we had said, "Oh, let's keep that and make it a rental." We didn't do that, at the time. We were, like everybody, just, trying to make ends meet, getting kids to school and all that. So life happens. But that's the one thing I wish we would have done is just kept all the properties we had bought over the years.
Isn't that interesting? Because people always say, don't wait to buy real estate, buy real estate and wait, right?
Yeah. Well, I know it's woulda, coulda, shoulda.
But, I mean, many of our clients aren't among the fortunate few who can buy without selling. They're selling to buy.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, look, I mean, you're not alone in saying, oh, if only we had held on to that property in Boston, or that property in Kansas, or that property in California.
Right.
A lot of people have to sell in order to buy the next one. But I think if you buy real estate and it's the right piece of property in the right location, that it inevitably will continue to appreciate. And I'm working with buyers now. We're involved in a negotiation, and their goal is not to sell the property that they're buying. Their goal is to buy the property and hold it and pass it on to the next generation, which is remarkable because this couple, they're probably 30, 35 years old. They have two young children, and they're already thinking about the generations to follow, and the fact that they're not buying this to live in for the next few years, 3, 5, maybe 10 years, and then move on to something else. They're looking at it like, we want to buy this, and then we want our family to live in it, and or rent it out, should we decide to buy something bigger in a different location. So that's sort of a unique position to have.
That's really great. Yeah, that's pretty smart, And I feel like that is kind of a good goal for real estate agents, if you could, because we have insight into what good deals are or what hits the market. And I think it would be great if I had known that 17 years ago. I've been an agent 17 years, but at the time your life is different, and it's just hindsight wisdom.
Well, it comes with age. It's
Mhm.
it's kind of interesting how the wisdom that we really need, we needed 20, 30 years ago, and we get it 30 years, in the future, and it's difficult to kind of do it over. And we try to impart it on our kids, and they kind of think that they have things all figured out, and what do we know? But then they realize 20 years
Well,
later,
yeah.
my dad was right, my mom was right.
Well, yeah, I find that, when they're young and teenagers, anything we say, they do the opposite, But now that my kids are older, they're 30 and 28, and they live in different towns. One lives in Austin, one lives in Seattle.
Mhm.
I find that they're now calling us to ask for advice. We're kind of smart again.
Kind of comes full circle, right?
It comes full circle. It's like, yeah, this is good. It's good.
Yeah. Now, do you guys do anything special to sort of give back to the community?
Yeah, we're pretty active in the community. I've been on a lot of different boards. I find one of the most rewarding things, I do like the Animal Companion Center here. It's the animal shelter. It's a no-kill shelter, and I really like to help them with their marketing and, helping to try to get awareness. A lot of people don't know about it, that they even do things like, dog chipping and all that, but they're pretty full at capacity. I just actually did a video special I wanted to promote this next month on all the dogs and cats that are there that they could actually adopt, because they're kind of at capacity. So that's kind of like one of my little pet projects I love, along with, there's so many other great organizations here that, we do a lot to help support them too.
Yeah. So is it a sort of a no-kill shelter, or?
Mhm. It's a no-kill shelter, and there's a lot of kittens, a lot of, gosh, I think they're full on dogs even, and they don't, it's a no-kill. So they keep them as long as it takes, and they promote them, and the special I'm going to do on that is probably going to air in probably sometime in June, but we're trying to help them finish out the rest of the shelter. They just built a new shelter because they were on leased land before, and they just built a new one, and they need to expand it just because couldn't afford it at the time. But now if they could raise a few more capital dollars, they could expand it and, let the community. And I'm thinking I want to do something, and I grabbed a bunch of flyers for every time I sell a home. I want to put the flyer in there and encourage people to take their pets to be licensed or adopt a pet, or, it's funny during COVID, my mom was alone. She lives in California, and we decided that she needed a dog, like a therapy dog, because, everybody was inside and masked and all that. And
Yeah,
so we found a rescue dog for her, and it's just been life changing. It's all about the dog now.
sure. No, it's her closest companion after.
Oh, it's really great. Yeah. Every senior, I think, needs a little pet like that, like a therapy dog.
Yeah, as long as they can care for them, absolutely.
Oh,
Because
absolutely. Yeah.
it does wonders for their, just for their spirit, really, to have. I mean, it's like the dogs that go to the uh, children's wards and cheer them up when they're, in the hospital. I mean,
Oh, yeah. I mean, she shops for the dog. She cooks the dinner for the dog, takes the dog for a walk. The dog's name is Jelly. Cute little dog. I did agree to adopt Jelly if anything ever happened to her. So, that was part of the stipulation. I said, of
sure,
course.
yeah,
Love Jelly.
yeah,
Yeah.
part of the family.
Yeah, we used to have a rescue dog who just passed away a couple years ago. So we're thinking.
Yeah, well,
And
you
a
can.
rescue cat. We had a rescue cat too.
Uh huh.
So yeah.
I'm picturing this cat in a lifeguard uniform. It's a rescue cat. I don't know.
Oh. Well, we fostered it when our kids were little, and you bottle feed them when they're abandoned, and then our kids fell in love with it, and of course we had to adopt it. But I am actually allergic to cats, so
Oh,
they had to take care of the cat. But then they both went to college, and John and I have the cat, and then the cat just died a couple years ago. Well, maybe a year and a half ago. So
yeah.
they live a long time, but they're it's nice. I miss having a pet.
Well, there's plenty of those at the shelter, right?
I know.
You could go down and it'd be like a foster home for some of the animals to get out from the.
I know some people bring their dogs to work here, in our office, which is kind of
Mhm.
fun, if they're
Yeah.
cute and little and they don't cause a ruckus.
We have a member of the team who has a great dog named Maverick, and it's like a husky derivative or a German Shepherd
Oh, I
derivative
love that. I like that name.
or something.
Hmm.
And it's a great dog. It's a bigger dog than you would normally see in the workplace, but really docile, very sweet. I prefer bigger dogs personally, but
Yeah.
they're obviously a little bit more to maintain, and you gotta think about them. We were out about an hour from our house over the weekend, and we wanted to get dinner, and what restaurant would allow us in the in their
Mhm.
establishment with our
Yeah.
we had three dogs with us. So it's a
Yeah.
matter of managing the three dogs and bringing them through the restaurant out onto this patio, and people were looking like, "Oh, what are the dogs doing here?" So it was kind
Yeah.
of a
Yeah.
funny experience, but the dogs are definitely a part of the family.
Definitely.
So I understand that you're also involved in Habitat for Humanity. So
Yes. I do like Habitat. Gosh, I don't know about your community, but we definitely have an affordable housing kind of issue around here where, the prices have gone so high and people can't afford homes. But I love what Habitat does. Got involved earlier when, it was just like a women build day where you can help volunteer to build a home. And I just thought that was so great for people that really like young single mother families too, who would help you that because it was going to be their home and they had to put sweat equity in. I like how they're now focused on I want to say it's more like multifamily housing, not just single family homes, but like townhomes, more affordable places for people. Um, we also have an organization here that just formed about a year ago, the Panhandle Housing Alliance, and it's focused on our whole workforce housing and everything that we need in this county desperately, because even apartments are expensive here. I'm sure you in Manhattan, that's outrageous, but
sure.
here, we don't want to end up like a community that cannot afford to house the servers in the restaurants, the teachers, the firefighters. And, we find that it's almost pricing them out of that market. And some people, aren't meant to be homeowners. They're younger, maybe they like the flexibility of being a renter, and they really just need to kind of get their footing. And home ownership is not the right thing for them. They need to save money, whatever it is.
Mhm.
So we need all those different options in a town, especially when we're so heavily tourist in the summer. I mean, we need tons of people in the summer to keep this town running. And I just don't want to see it become a crisis. So it's definitely, we don't have a lot of solutions yet. There's a lot of people talking and trying to figure out solutions. So definitely needs to be worked on, though.
Yeah. Well, we definitely need to get out in front of the housing issue, right? Because with the market having done what it has over the last, 4 years or so, especially, it's making homeownership far more difficult for those who aren't among the fortunate few. And setting up affordable housing, not just in urban communities like New York City, Philadelphia, Chicago, but also in the suburbs and in these sort of, I wouldn't call it ex-urban communities, but just smaller metropolitan areas like yours, as an example, is certainly something that is super important, because we need to make sure that people have affordable housing. And as you pointed out, not just ownership, but also the ability to rent a place that's affordable. Because while New York City has not seen the values of owned properties appreciate considerably over the last few years, given the challenges between the pandemic and the elimination of the state and local tax deduction, rentals have gone stratospheric beyond anything that I could have ever imagined. Just since 2021, with the influx of people coming back after initially fleeing in 2020.
Right.
So between 21, 22, and 23, we saw rentals just go parabolic. It was just insane. And while those levels have leveled off, they haven't gone down. But again, it's making things less affordable. I mean, when I moved to Brooklyn, as an example, my apartment was $900 a month, which was on the low end of fare. Today, that apartment is probably $5,000 a month. I mean,
Wow.
I'm no longer renting, of course. That was 30 years ago. But that's just what's happened in that neighborhood, in particular in Clinton Hill and Brooklyn, which has become very popular in the last 10 years or so. But it's one of those things that we need to think about as a community, and not just have it be these people who can afford it, and it's kind of like this invisible fence to those who can't afford it.
I do feel like I've been super busy and trying to do a lot of things at once, but I feel like my next calling has to do with something related to affordable housing. And I feel like you can't just leave it to the developers. There needs to be some kind of, government help in structuring something with deed restrictions or something, because, the apartments that are built are just, maybe they need to have some rent cap or something. I just feel there's just not enough out there in the market that will, naturally help give affordable housing without some kind of partnership between the business, developers, public, everybody having a common goal.
Yeah, well, and New York State has tried to do that with various programs between the Rent Stabilization Board, Rent Control, which preceded that, and the Loft Board. But I think that those days are numbered, because what we're seeing is that property developers and investors aren't really able to make sense of owning and managing these properties, as long as there are certain restrictions in place. So we got to find a happy medium, and we have to do it quickly.
Yeah, I agree. It's on my mind a lot, actually. I'm just, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, Leah, this has been great. Thanks so much for joining us on the Rubin Special today. Really enjoyed hearing your story, how you got started, and your recent success. So you've clearly built it on a foundation of hard work, discipline, professionalism. So another remarkable story.
Well, thank you, Josh, and I really appreciate you recognizing that and having me on your show. I always love to connect with other agents around the country. I find that, it's great collaboration when you can, I feel like we're connectors, we're making deals happen and we're trying to connect all the dots. So really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us, Leah. Everybody, Lea Willams of Sotheby's in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Thanks, Josh.
Really had a good time. Thanks, Leah. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, it's Josh Rubin with the Rubin team. Let's go take a